It is hard to believe that week 3 of season 9 is already here. Welcome back to That Entrepreneur Show. I'm your host, Vincent A. Lanci. I am excited to deliver this episode, not only because the show stops in Colorado for the first time, but also because a friend joins the series. I met today's guest while I was in college, as he is close friends with one of my roommates, Paul, and now today's guest is up to big things. Get ready for a value-filled episode. Each week on this platform, I interview a different entrepreneur from across the country and around the globe. Whether you are looking to start or scale your business, this is the show for you. Each guest will take you through their story and help you learn from their successes and lessons learned. This week's guest became infatuated with the trading floor, and upon college graduation, he took a role as a proprietary trader directly out of college with a Wall Street firm. After 4 successful years in the profession, he left the firm to do his own thing, creating educational trading service with one of his co-workers from the firm called Trading Experts. Their goal in doing this was to create a massive online community focused on learning and growing alongside fellow traders with all different levels of capital, knowledge, and experience. And then we fast forward 4 or 5 years. Trading Expert has built one of the best communities on Wall Street with hundreds of members as well as thousands of traders in their ecosystem in some fashion. I'm excited for you all to learn his journey today. Allow me to now introduce Shake Pryzby. Shake, it's great to see you, and thank you for coming on the show.
Vin, man, I'm so pumped to finally get on. We've been working on this a while. We had a little, schedule issues. And, before we start, I just want to say, seeing you and seeing the journey you've been on is really inspirational in itself. I love what you're doing. The entrepreneurial podcast, the book was amazing, and all that you have going on. That being said, I do remember the old Vin back in college. We used to really get our stuff off at Gasparilla, but those stories we won't touch on today, but I'm excited about whatever we're getting into today.
It's great to catch up with you again. Thank you again for coming on. Would you mind giving the listeners a little more of an intro about yourself and previewing your story?
Absolutely. So, in college, I studied business, finance and economics. And when it became, I was really in college, trying to play football and all these other things, wasn't really focused on the job world. And then when it came, junior, senior year, where you really got to start figuring it out, I saw all my friends taking these, analyst roles or investment banker roles. And, what those jobs entail is so much Microsoft Excel. You really got to be kind of a slave to the system for a few years. I could just never see myself being super motivated to do that. So I took one interview with this prop trading firm, and just being on a trading floor, seeing the energy, knowing that you had an unlimited ceiling and potential, knowing it was really you versus you at the end of the day, those things all really spoke to me. That was something I could see myself doing forever. I've played sports a ton growing up. Anything I can really motivate myself and look at it as such, where it's like practice on the weekends, going over my charts and my own trading, all things of that nature where I can just relate it to, all the sports I played growing up. It was really easy to make that connection. So, that's really it. And then, after a few years at the trading firm, me and my buddy Ben, who I was at the trading firm with, we both left pretty simultaneously. We thought, we could pretty much bring what we had at the trading firm, to the masses in an online forum. And, and we saw the good and the bad and the ugly at this trading firm. And we just saw so many ways we can improve on it. So, that's really the synopsis of my story in the most basic sense.
You touched on a lot of great points. You created something out of a need, which may be attributing to so much success that you're having here. The hard work and grit you had growing up with the sports, with the early endeavors, you could tell that's transitioned right here into your current role. What sports did you play growing up?
Mostly basketball and football. I played some football in college. I was always better at basketball, but the recruiters, they like the quarterbacks more.
Absolutely. Well, you saw a need in the market. You were on the floor for a while. You loved what you were doing. You said, I'm going to do my own thing. What was that exact reason or situation that pushed you into entrepreneurship?
So, it's not as simple as that, where we left the firm to do Trading Experts. The way it worked at the firm was they were taking a substantial amount of profits because they were supplying you with so much money and leverage and all these other things. So my main reason for leaving the firm was, doing the math. Once I got my own capital, up, grown enough where I didn't need the firm's money as much, that was really my motivation for leaving. And then, me and my partner, Ben, we were down in Florida We were partying a little bit. We were talking, and we met this woman who had this just joke of an online business, which what we kind of created, this like trading, teaching people how to trade and all these things. And we're like, God, there are so many frauds out there, and we really lived it, and we really came from the ground up, built everything from the bottom floor. So for us, we knew that we could give people a real experience and really show based off our journey, what mistakes not to make to, get in a similar position that we're in, these days.
There's a lot of information out with the internet era, but how much of it is actually good information and reliable information? You came out, you're doing a great thing there. But since you left the firm, what would you say the two most difficult parts of being on your own are?
So trading on my own, and this was one of the motivations for starting Trading Experts, is, I was always on a trading floor. You're always bouncing ideas off each other, and it's easier to take ideas, or take on trades, or just, confirm your ideas if there's other people around. So then when I left the firm, I was just trading all by myself. It was a very lonely endeavor. So then when we started creating the community, I could build these traders up to be just like the guys I was trading with on the floor based off our strategy. That was a no-brainer to me. But the most difficult part, in the entrepreneurial space easily is that you're just never off the clock. Like today, we were just talking about, I had to rush to get the other podcast done so I could, fit this one in. I'm talking to a few members later on video chats. I still have to do research for tomorrow. It's really a never ending job, but, at the end of the day, I'm making my own hours. I'm my own boss. And that's really the important parts to me, where I can easily make those sacrifices because of those facts.
You have those trade-offs where people would rather work 80, 100 hours for themselves and have to go, like you said, be in the system, put in the years there. Does get lonely. You mentioned that too. Eventually, you just kind of get used to that, I think. But you are always on the clock. My busiest days are usually Saturdays or Sundays because there's no distractions, and I just go straight through, where my day off for the week may be a lighter day on a Tuesday or Wednesday. But that's part of entrepreneurship. We grind to make our own schedule. Looking back over everything, though, Shake, through your experiences in entrepreneurship over the 4 or 5 years, what is one of your greatest lessons learned, and what did it teach you?
Good question. So in trading, it's a very big mental game. That's why, I can relate to so much of the things you talk about in the mental health space, because we need to have, it's called, you have your physical capital and you have your mental capital. And that's, how in tune you are with the market, your confidence levels, things of that nature. I would say my greatest lesson learned was about 5.5, 6 years ago. My dad passed away. And this is when I was still, we were just beginning with Trading Experts, and I left the firm at this point, and I started trading like absolute garbage because my mental capital just wasn't there. I was hemorrhaging money every day. I started to look at other jobs. I wanted to quit. I was like, how am I really going to do this as a career if I'm under so much mental duress every single day? So, it was a really negative time in my life, but it really taught me the mental toughness that you need to succeed. Now I look back on those times as, what led to my greatest strengths in trading, the mental toughness that I do have. No matter how much money I lose, I can come back in the chair the next day and, really, take a grasp of the market, things like that. So it was really just learning the mental toughness and just kind of living through those awful times to really understand, these are what are going to lead to the good or the great times.
The days are long, and it seems even longer sometimes when you don't have any small wins in the small horizon. But to keep that momentum going, because every day we have to wake up and we have to motivate ourselves. We have to just find a new way to get ourselves mentally out there. But since you did touch on the mental health space, I got to ask you, for our listeners, what is just one thing you do for your mental health every day? Because you do have long hours. What helps you push through?
Oh man. I mean, I meditate every day, at least 10, 15 minutes, just getting the right mindset. So my role in Trading Experts is I'm pretty much leading, the 400 or 500 members that we have in the alpha chat, whatever the number is. And I have to take on the role of, being a leader every single day. There's a lot of days I don't want to come in and, talk to 400 people and be like, this is what we're doing. This is what you got to look for, sit in the computer, kind of call the market every single day. It's very, very difficult in that front. So I'm constantly reading books on, mental health, trading psychology, anything of that nature. The more I can meditate, the better. The more yoga I do, the better. And it's just always just having that kind of mental tabs on your own, we call it mental capital. So, it's having the tabs of where you're at. How confident are you? Why are you not as confident right now? That's when I'll like go look at my trades or go get whatever data I can on myself to figure out what's going wrong, because I can't really have days where, I'm not in that leadership space.
You have the hunger of a true entrepreneur. You always have to be learning. You always have to be grinding. You mentioned reading these books. Now let's take that learning a step further. If you could choose to have a conversation and learn from any entrepreneur, either dead or alive, who are we choosing?
Oh, that's a good question. Okay. The easy answer is like Steve Jobs, I guess. No, I'm gonna John D. Rockefeller. All right, back in the day, started Standard Oil. Yeah. The Titans. So the government had to create all these rules about how he created a monopoly just because he was so successful. He's the richest man in history by any stretch of the means. Maybe like Mansa Musa was a little better, but whatever. But so this guy, he pretty much created horizontal and vertical integrations, which is creating side businesses that work with your business and just make sense in that regard. He was a true innovator in that space. So, I mean, yeah, I could probably eat a meal with him.
Definitely respect the answer, but we're going to take this a step further, Shake. If you could choose a location for this meet, where are we having it?
Oh man, Peter Luger's. That's easy.
Love the choice. We're now looking into the future here. We're going to do 1 year and 5 years out. Where do you see yourself and all of your entrepreneurial endeavors 1 year from today?
I mean, 1 year, that's not that long of a span of time. We're just going to continue to grow, continue to build everything we have, hire more traders as mentors, build more guys up, guys and girls. And really just continue the growth of the business as well as growth of the trading account. Just stay locked in. I've never been as locked in as I currently am at this, in this time of my life. So, I think we're going to have a huge next year, but I don't foresee too many changes other than growth in the next 1 year.
I agree with you there. Even for my own endeavors, we're just going to keep growing. I have my projects that are lined up to come out, but the brand is going to stay on course. Now let's look 5 years. I know you're ambitious. What's in the works?
So 5 years, I mean, I'm personally, going to look to fry a bigger fish. It's great. It's always great working with new guys and things of that nature. But, at that point, I'll be 13 years into trading. I don't know how badly I'll really want to, be working with new guys every single day, talking about the basics. I see myself getting in the hedge fund space. Me and Ben will probably start raising money, create a hedge fund or something of that nature where it's just, increasing the game, take on a lot more risk. But, as far as the next 1 year, we're having too much fun right now. So
yeah, I see the smile on your face. I see the smile on your face. You're living it up over there. Much well-deserved success because of how hard you're working. We're now going to take your take on the Spotlight Story, Shake. Each week, I share the entrepreneurial journey of another entrepreneur to inspire our listeners, and I want your take on this one. As we have a rock star Denver entrepreneur on the show this week, I will now share the journey of another in Steve Ells as he founded the first Chipotle in Denver. He graduated from the Culinary Institute of America and dreamed of opening a fine dining restaurant. He ran into the problem that most entrepreneurs do: lack of funds. Back in 1993, he opened Chipotle as a way to make money and fund his fine dining restaurant. But this idea took off with what we all know as the foil wrapped burritos, and this gained, as what the article describes, a cult following. This propelled the company to generate $826 million in revenue with over 37,000 employees. Let's look at this timeline. In 1993, with an $85,000 loan from his father, he launched the first concept. Within 1 month, the store was selling more than 1,000 burritos a day. 2 years later, in 1995, the second store opened with the cash flow from Restaurant One. 1996, the third store opens with an SBA loan. To fund additional growth, the father now invests $1.5 million in the company.
Damn.
1998, I know he's crushing it.
Well, why he started at 85K, when he's got the bag like that.
I agree with you. He should have maybe shot a little higher. Who knows how much Chipotle they could have had in that short span. But 1998, McDonald's invested $360 million into Chipotle, which then rapidly expanded it. By 2001, McDonald's was now the biggest investor, taking the place of the father. And in 2006, they went public and the stock rises 100% in just 1 day. McDonald's fully divests from Chipotle. But Shake, what do you like best about this story of entrepreneurship?
There's so many things. And Chipotle is sitting around all-time highs. Their stock, I'm sure it's up like 15,000% from that IPO. I think the most amazing part of that story is he wasn't even passionate about starting at Chipotle. You know, he did this to fund, his fancy dining restaurant. And then he ends up being a billionaire off Chipotle. It's just funny how things work like that. But I mean, what he did was he took risks and he put himself in a position to succeed. You know, he was the owner. He took all the risk on himself. Obviously, he got some of his dad's money that helped, but you never know what something's going to turn into. And what I tell people all the time about trading's, a lifelong game. We were talking about, what's going to happen the next year. Anyone can say what I'm going to do the next year, next day, next month, next year. No one can really, extrapolate how much they can achieve in a 10-year span, and that's what I think is the most amazing part of the story, the growth they achieved and really everything. It's, now you go, every town is a Chipotle. It seems like it's incredible.
At least one Chipotle. And I can agree with you there. Every project or something I come out with, it opens up new doors. And my plans change so drastically where now I'm heading down routes that I didn't see were possible. Short term, I set my goals. I try to hit them and just hope that it opens up some more possibilities. But Shake, I got to thank you so much for coming on the show today. It's been great to reconnect with you, catch up a little bit before the show. I know the listeners are going to see all the value in your episode. I loved how you talked about doing something you're passionate about right away. You went right to the trading floor. You loved it, but you wanted bigger things. You were losing a lot of your profit, and now look how far the success has taken you. You're clearly a mentor to 400 or 500 people in the community. So if you're interested in trading, listen on, reach out to him. You'll find out his contact info soon. He is here to help. And of course, I loved your lessons learned here where we talk about physical and mental capital. You couldn't have been more right on with that. And I would like to now ask you for your last word. I also do this on my other show, A Mental Health Break, because I want the listeners to really get the opportunity to know all of the guests I bring on both platforms. What would you like to share with everyone?
So one of the main motivations actually for starting Trading Experts, I told you I was on the trading floor. It was a great environment, but we did see the good, the bad, and the ugly. And the main motivation for me is where I saw I could provide the most value was the mental health space. They never talk about trading psychology on the floor. It was all about what have you done for me today? How much did you make? How much did you lose? Etc. So now that we've incorporated the psychological game so drastically into our programs and all of that, that's one of the first things that people are learning is that, your mental capital, your headspace is really the most, what's going to affect your trading the most. So, the more focus that you can put on, the more focus I can put on, the better off, the thousands of or whoever, hears this will be in the end, because it is just the most important thing in really any aspect of life. Anything you take on, it's about your perspective, your motivation, how you're seeing things, everything like that.
I love your response. So you would say that if you get your meditation and your yoga and you're going to be more sharp than if you did not do any of that for the day.
Oh man, light years difference, light years.
I agree with you. My outlet like that is fitness. After I work for 2 hours in the morning, I'm at the gym every morning, and that kind of sets me up mentally. And then in the late afternoon, I take a walk, maybe do a little more cardio or a little meditation. So I love that response. Can you now tell the listeners how to find you, how to sign up for your services, how to reach out?
Oh man, just simply find us on Instagram at Trading Experts. It's that simple. No LinkedIn's, no something. I mean, tradingexperts.org, but just hit us up on Instagram, Trading Experts. Yeah, throw the kid a personal follow at Shake Pryzby. Why not? Get my own following up, right?
Why not? Reach out to him. Check out what he offers. He's got a lot of great experience that he's transcended into his own company, and it is now also social media time for the show. And we're on whichever platform you like to use. We're at That Entrepreneur Show on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. And on Twitter, we're at Podcasts by Lanci. So you have updates from this show and a mental health break. Of course, my handles are at Vincent A. Lanci on all social media and YouTube. And my website is vincentalanci.com. If you check out my books, DM me. I would love to hear from you all. We have Mr. Lanci Talks Mental Health, Left for Dead, A Story of Redemption, and How to Transform Your Mindset When the Norm is Changed. All are on my website and Amazon now. And as always, I will end the show with a quote that inspired me, and know it will for you too. This one is from today's Spotlight entrepreneur, Steve Ells. So many people told me it was not a good idea to start a restaurant, especially a fast food restaurant. There was so much wrong with it. It was too spicy. Everything was done by hand, from scratch. Everything was wrong. But that's why the customers liked it. It's different in the right way. If you have an idea, just go for it. If everyone is telling you it's wrong, maybe that's an indication that it's an original idea. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next week on That Entrepreneur Show.